You remember her laughter, don't you? Not the sound, but the shape of it curved like a blade drawn slowly across the inside of your ribs. You were smiling when it cut. You thought it was affection, you thought it was love, but even then, something in you knew it was too sharp to be safe, too rehearsed to be real. She didn't choose you for your gentleness. She never does. She waits for the one who forgets her birthday but remembers how she cried at 8. The one who touches her not to comfort, but to reawaken the ache she buried under clean sheets and adult manners. You think she wants peace, but why does she lean in closer when you grow cold? Why does her breath quicken when she senses the slightest withdrawal? You don't understand her devotion to the man who forgets her name mid-sentence, but you are not supposed to. Desire is not logical, it is ritual. It is trauma repeating itself in silk. You are not her future. You are her past in disguise, and every time she opens her mouth to moan, it's not pleasure she's calling for, it's recognition. You see her across the room and think softness, but what you do not name is the pulse beneath that softness, the quiet, coiled hunger to be pierced, not with words, not with flowers, but with the unmistakable touch of someone who sees through her and wounds her just right. You want to be the exception. You want her to choose you because you are kind, but you forget pleasure is not shaped by kindness. It is shaped by repetition, and repetition always returns to the wound. She doesn't want the man who leaves her untouched. She wants the one whose silence mirrors her father's silence, the one who vanishes for 3 days, just long enough to stir the original abandonment. When he returns, she feels what she felt at 6, the unbearable ache of relief. You call it passion, but it's not. It's the unconscious recognizing itself and weeping for another chance to lose. She never loved the good ones, not truly. The good ones came with warm hands and steady voices, but they bored her, because boredom, for her, is the absence of fear. And without fear, she feels nothing. She says she wants safety, but notice how her eyes light up when he breaks a promise. Notice how her voice trembles not when he touches her, but when he withdraws. His cruelty is the ritual, his inconsistency is the heartbeat, and you, with your patience and care, are only a pause in the drama she craves. You think she's unaware, that she is simply misguided, but the truth is worse. She knows, somewhere beyond language, that what she chases is a reenactment. The first wound dressed in perfume, the original betrayal repackaged with charm, the echo of a forgotten slap, softened by candlelight, and she walks toward it not because she is weak, but because it is the only thing that makes her feel real. You see, the psyche does not want healing. It wants closure through repetition. It wants to stand again in the same room with the same scent, the same voice, the same knife, but this time to bleed with dignity. The child inside her was humiliated. Now the woman seeks humiliation she can control. She wants to kneel, yes, but only if she chooses to. And she chooses the man who will make her cry, because at least then she initiated the suffering. And what about you, the one who listens, the one who texts good morning, the one who waits? You will always be the one she forgets to call back, not because you lack value, but because you do not trigger the wound. You offer love, and love to her feels foreign, suspicious, hollow. You love her the way no one did before. And that's the problem, because her nervous system is trained in chaos, not care. Love without punishment confuses her, so she will search for the edge, push you, provoke you, until you finally break and become what she understands dangerous. Even then, she will not hate you, she will feel home. She tells you stories about her past, about the man who used to scream, about the one who disappeared, about the hands that didn't ask permission. She recounts these things like they're memories, but they are scripts, each one rehearsed, filed, marked with emotion. They are not stories of the past, they are templates for the future. She does not tell you so you understand. She tells you so you will become. You try to save her. That is your mistake, because no one wants to be saved from their own language, and her language is pain. Not all the time, only when it starts to feel too good, too still, too safe. That's when she retreats. That's when she needs space. That's when she reclaims the chaos that shaped her. And why wouldn't she? Chaos is erotic. Absence is erotic. Distance, silence, punishment, all erotic. The forbidden is not what turns her on. It is the familiar wearing the mask of the forbidden. Her desires are not about him. They are about her memory of herself in his arms. The self who wept. The self who waited. The self who was not enough. And learned to equate rejection with meaning. You thought sex would bring you closer, but she only felt alive when he refused her after. When he rolled over. When he forgot to kiss her goodbye. That's when the ache returned. The ache that whispers you're still here. You're still real. You still matter because he can still destroy you. This is not madness. This is ritual. The psyche always creates ritual out of trauma. It builds shrines in the body. It decorates the wound. And when someone enters her life, she offers them the role not of partner, but of priest. Someone to reenact the sacrament of pain, not abuse, not brutality, just enough neglect to feel holy again. And you, with your gentle hands and predictable kindness, are not a priest. You are a tourist. She cannot worship with you. She cannot lose herself. You are a garden with no thorns. She walks through you with gratitude but no fire. Still, she stays a while. She tests. She waits. But when your hands never tremble, when your voice never rises, when your gaze never darkens, she slips away. Not out of malice, but out of instinct. Instinct to return to the one who makes her question her worth. Because questioning is what she knows. Certainty, to her, feels like a lie. You will call her damaged. You will think of her as broken, but she is not. She is loyal to the original story. She is faithful to the first face that turned away. And she cannot betray that face, even when it haunts her. Especially when it haunts her. Because to leave it behind would mean confronting a grief she cannot name. And so she returns. Always. Even after tears. Even after therapy. Even after you. She does not want the wound to close. She wants it to be kissed by someone who will never heal it. And if you still believe she'll choose you for your goodness, ask yourself, when did you first learn that love meant being useful, being gentle, being available? Perhaps you too are repeating. Perhaps you are not choosing her but reenacting your own script of being overlooked. She's not the only one who returns to the wound. You do too. But you dress yours in effort, in patience, in sacrifice, and she dresses hers in longing. The roles are different, but the ritual is the same. You believe you are touching her as a man, but you are mistaken. You are touching a story that began long before you arrived. Each time your hand traces her shoulder, each time your lips graze her ear, you are not entering the present. You are entering a theater, a reenactment. You are the shadow of another man's shadow, and she, though silent, is directing every scene without knowing it. This is not romance. This is the return of the repressed. She does not love you for who you are. She loves you because your eyes carry something familiar, something she flinches from and leans toward in the same breath. You see, she learned desire through distance, through withheld affection, through the tremble of footsteps in the hallway, never knowing whether they would pass her door or enter with heat. Her childhood was not empty, it was full of uncertain rhythms. The man she loved was there and not there, smiling and cold, safe and unsafe. That confusion became her first language of love. And now, in your arms, she waits not for pleasure, but for the moment you shift, the moment your warmth recedes, the moment your breath shortens. That is the moment she feels alive. And you too, are not immune. You believe you're in control. You believe you are loving her as she is. But some part of you wants to fix her, doesn't it? Some part of you is aroused not by her pleasure, but by the possibility of being the one who finally tames the chaos. That's your fantasy, not sex. Salvation. And salvation is never clean. You need her to need you, to collapse, to cry, to cling. It flatters your wound. It makes your own past more bearable to be chosen by the girl who always chose pain. You think it means you're different. You think it means you've won. But she's not choosing you. She's choosing the man who knows how to recreate the wound gently. Her sighs are not invitations, they are memories. Her gaze when she looks up at you is not discovery, it's recognition. And when she moans, she is not in bliss. She is returning to a moment where she once begged for attention and received a strange mix of coldness and heat. She is not in love with you. She is in love with the ghost that your outline resembles. The father is never absent. Even in his absence, he lingers. He teaches her what love is by the way he does not give it, or by the way he gives it conditionally. A raised eyebrow, a delayed response, a gaze that assesses instead of embraces. And when she grows, she searches for that same gaze. It does not matter that she says she wants tenderness. Her body remembers the stare that made her doubt herself, that made her try harder, that made her believe effort equals worth. And so now, in your silence, she leans in your distraction, she offers more. Because love, to her, was always earned, never given. You think you are being distant, you think you are busy, but to her, you are reactivating the script. You don't need to scream, you only need to pause, to hesitate before answering, to forget one small detail. And her stomach twists with the old ache. What did I do wrong? That question is the center of her attachment. It is the altar she prays at. And you, unknowingly, become the god she sacrifices herself to. But gods never speak plainly, and neither do you. You offer affection like crumbs, not because you are cruel, but because you do not know how to give it without surrendering power. You like when she reaches. You like when she aches. It confirms your worth. It masks your fear. Because deep down, you are terrified she will see your softness and walk away. So you become the very man she fears not to harm her, but to protect yourself. This is not love. This is two unconscious bodies reenacting their deepest shame through skin and breath. And when she begs you to stay, when she forgives you again, when she calls the coldness passion, you mistake her submission for healing. But it is not healing, it is loyalty. Loyalty to the man who taught her that silence is power and affection is a prize. You are not her lover, you are her mirror, and she is reliving the gaze that shaped her. Not because she wants to suffer, but because it's the only way she knows how to be seen. The most painful truth is this: she does not choose the man who brings her joy. She chooses the one who recreates the tension. Because joy is unfamiliar. Joy requires trust. And trust to her is dangerous. The last time she trusted, she was abandoned. Not once, repeatedly, quietly, over years, in small, imperceptible cuts that bled inside her without sound. And now she builds cathedrals from that pain. She calls it chemistry, she calls it spark. But what she means is, I know this place. I've bled here before. You wonder why she stays with him, why she answers the phone even after he ignores her for days, why she puts on lipstick for the man who forgets her name. But you do not understand the compulsion of the wound, the way it pulls her back like a lullaby, the way it promises redemption. If she can make him love her, then maybe she can undo the memory, rewrite the ending, prove she was worthy all along. But it never works, because the wound is not interested in being healed. It only wants to be seen, to be touched again and again until it becomes a part of her skin, not as a scar, but as identity. That's what she protects. Not her heart, not her body, but the narrative that says, I am the one who waits for love that hurts. And when you offer her something different, she stares at it like a foreign language. She nods politely, she says, thank you, but she feels nothing. You are offering peace to someone who was raised on war, and peace feels like death. So she returns to the battlefield, to the man whose voice rises, to the one who forgets, to the one who disappears. And every time she returns, she feels strong, not because he loves her, but because she survived him. And you watch it unfold. You write essays about attachment styles, you listen to podcasts, you practice patience, but none of that matters, because she is not living in the present. She is dancing with her ghosts. And unless you become one of them, she will never see you. So you have a choice: become the echo she craves, or walk away unnoticed. But even as you walk, a part of you wonders, what is it in you that needed to be chosen by someone who never looked you in the eye? What is the wound you keep dressing as devotion? She is not the only one haunted by the father. You are too. But in your story, you were the one overlooked, the one who proved himself, the one who was good. And now you seek redemption not through punishment, but through rescuing. You do not want love. You want to be needed, because when you are needed, you are safe. But when she looks at you without desire, when she tells you you're too good, it is not rejection, it is repetition of the same wound with new lips. You came to save her, but now you see she came to remind you. And in every kiss she gave to another, the father's hand moved quietly between you. You believed love was choice, that you could be chosen, that if you were present, honest, and gentle, her body would eventually soften, her eyes would warm, and the chaos would stop. But what you fail to see is that desire does not choose, it returns. Desire is the corpse of memory reanimated, the silent ritual of crawling back to what once burned. She does not want love. She wants the first sensation that taught her what being alive felt like, and that sensation was pain, not violence, not cruelty, but a particular ache, a distant presence, a punished longing. She learned this young, when the person she adored offered affection only in fragments, like cold water in a desert, just enough to keep crawling. You speak to her now. She listens. She nods, but she's elsewhere, not in time, but in pattern, the tone of your voice, the delay in your response, the angle of your withdrawal. It doesn't matter what you mean. What matters is how closely you match the original. She's not asking, do you love me? She's asking, are you him? And if you aren't, she will search for someone who is. Even her rebellion is ritual. When she says, I will never let a man treat me like that again, listen carefully. She is not breaking the cycle. She is announcing it. Because it is not the man who returns. It is her. It is her body, her dreams, her trembling in the dark after the door slams. She will protest, she will cry, she will whisper to her reflection, "This time I'll leave." But the moment he apologizes, not sincerely, but faintly, she will collapse back into him. Because the apology isn't forgiveness. It's foreplay. You think this is irrational, but you misunderstand the purpose of desire. It is not to connect. It is to recreate. The unconscious does not care about your peace. It craves familiarity. The same notes played in a different key. The same hunger touched with different hands. The same distance masquerading as fate. And when she says she can't explain it, she means her body is following a blueprint older than her words. She does not love the man who ignores her. She remembers him. And memory is erotic. Memory has teeth. She lies beside him, the one who forgets her birthday, and her skin pulses with warmth. Not because he is kind, but because his absence pulls her into herself. His silence awakens the ache she calls home. She undresses for him not because he sees her, but because his gaze withholds. And in that withholding, she feels real, like a child screaming behind glass. The louder she moans, the more invisible she becomes. That's the point. Her pleasure is not affirmation, it is erasure. She wants to disappear, because only then does she become the image she's always been chasing, the girl who was never enough. You offer her love, she thanks you, but love, to her, is sterile, unarousing. It lacks the tension that tells her the game is still alive. When you make her coffee in the morning, she smiles politely, but inside, something is dying. Not because she doesn't appreciate it, but because appreciation is not intoxication. And without intoxication, she fears there is nothing there. She wants to lose herself, to fall into something dangerous, something that reminds her of the first man who could ruin her. She may sleep with you, but that does not mean she wants you. She may kiss you, hold your hand, laugh at your jokes. But if you ever make her feel safe, her body will turn cold. Not out of spite, but out of protection. Because her desire is not aroused by presence, it is aroused by withdrawal. The hand that pauses, the voice that disappears, the gaze that questions her worth. That is where she begins to want. Not in your touch, but in its absence. You will rage, you will say, "But I treat her well." You will say, "I gave her everything," and she will nod and disappear, because you did not confuse her, and confusion, for her, is sacred. It is what made her kneel as a child, begging for crumbs of love from the one who gave her silence. And now, she mistakes that kneeling for devotion, for attraction, for chemistry. You see her scrolling through her phone at night, rereading texts from the one who vanished. She smiles at them not because they are kind, but because they are dangerous. Each word a puzzle, each silence an invitation. She does not want to be understood. She wants to be devastated, not violently, elegantly, quietly, like an opera written in sighs and slammed doors. She wants the man who makes her wait, who texts come over at 2 a.m. and forgets to say goodbye. Not because she is weak, but because she is scripted. You ask her why. She cannot answer. Because the answer is not in words. It is in structure, in the rhythm of absences and returns, in the echo of footsteps she never learned to trust. And now she hears them in you. She hopes, briefly, that you will become him, that you will wound her just enough to trigger the ritual. If you do, she will crave you. If you don't, she will vanish. And what of you? Do you think you are innocent? Do you think you love her purely? Look closer. You are aroused by her inconsistency, by the moments she pulls away, buy the challenge. You say you want stability, but it bores you too. You want the one who is broken just right. Not too much. Just enough to make your goodness matter, because if she needs you, you are real. And if she heals, you are forgotten. You're not her salvation, you are her mirror. And when she sees herself in you, the good self, the healed self, she recoils. Because that self is unrecognizable. She is not ready to be whole. Wholeness means loss. Loss of story. Loss of fire. Loss of the delicious ache that has defined her since before she had language. And so she leaves. Not because you failed, but because you succeeded too well. You saw her. You touched her without hurting. You stayed, and staying, to her, is the ultimate betrayal. Because the one who stays can't be the one she desires. You will wait, you will hope, you will believe she will return, but she won't. Not to you. She will return to the wound. Always. Because that is where she feels most alive. In the ache, in the chase, in the absence. You were real, you were safe. But safety is not desire. And she desires only the one who mirrors the man who once made her beg. She does not want love. She wants the ritual of almost being loved again. And in that ritual, you were never meant to be the ending, only the silence between two echoes. The pause before she returns to him. Somewhere, she is lying awake beside someone who won't ask how her day was. Her body is curled, but her mind is alert, listening for the absence. For the shift, for the ritual to begin again. And you are dreaming of her, remembering her laugh, her sigh, her almosts. You think you lost her, but you never had her. You were only the mirror, only the brief moment of clarity before the dream pulls her back in. You will not see her again, not in flesh, but in every woman who recoils when you are kind. In every silence that stings more than a slap. The ritual continues, and you, too, return, always, to the place where you first believed you could be enough.